Hi everybody, I'm Kim. Welcome to the Regretful Yarn Addict, where I crochet and I know things. And I just, speaking of knowing things, I'm not sure if any of you watch my videos to the very end, but for the past 5 or 6 videos, I've been putting trivia knowledge things on a slide at the very end. So if you're not watching to the very end, you're missing out on getting to know some stuff you may not have wanted to know or didn't know you needed to know. Anyway, blah blah, on to other things. Today is Monday, makes on Tuesday. First thing I'm going to show you is something I can't remember if I showed you before or not. It feels like I did, but I can't remember, and it has to do with this. What I'm about to show you was made with this yarn with all my little sequins in it. I'm pretty sure I've showed you at least. I don't remember. But it is a scarf. And I think this is just, looks like just a basic V-stitch. It's just, and I gotta sew the ends in yet, but just your basic V-stitch scarf. And a knotted headband. So like that. And then, remember all the squares I had using this yarn? Well, I still have to put a border on it, but it's all together. And this was using, I think her name is Jessica. Pretty sure her name is Jessica. I've got the playlist in my tutorials I've used playlist. And she had 6 of them, but I decided there were 2 I didn't like. So I just made extras of the ones I did like. And then I used Lion Brand ice cream in the color coffee to make all the squares. And what's pretty cool is I have yarn Karen Cotton Cakes. I think the color is something almond or almond something. And it's the same exact colors. And then to sew them together. Okay, the Lion Brand ice cream is a 3-weight. This yarn that I crocheted them together, and I just did a single crochet, but I used Hirschner's Vintage Collection 2-ply in the color Heirloom. And this is a 2-weight, a very light 2-weight, very light 2-weight. Because it was the only color I had that kind of matched. But I think for my border, I'm just going to use the ice cream yarn and just make a border around it. Because that 2/8. You don't want to mix 3 weights and 2 weights or 3 weights and 4 weights. You don't want to mix your weights. You don't really want to mix your fiber content either, because it can make a huge difference when you're washing stuff. I mean, if you hand wash, it's one thing. But if you just throw stuff in the washer and then you decide, or you forget and you throw it in the dryer, if you've got wool in anything, it could be an issue. But these are all acrylic. Anyway, I thought this was pretty cool, just for a nice little lap gan. Then, I'm not going to really get into it too much, but I made 8 each of these squares, these individual squares. And I'm making 2 baby blankets, but I'll get into that later. I'm not going to talk about those right now. I just want you to know that I've been very, very busy with these because, okay, here's some that I've made into big squares. Took 4 squares, made a big square. And like I said, it's going to be made, they will be made into 2 baby blankets. But we are not talking about that right now because I haven't talked about that yarn yet. So, I'm not going to talk about what I made with yarn when I haven't even talked about the yarn yet. Yarn yet. Say that. Yarn yet, yarn yet, yarn yet. Okay. Now, I looked and I looked and I looked and I can't find the wrapper for this yarn. But remember my hobby, my most recent hobby on bag, I think it was my most recent one, where I had the 2 lucky bags. This is yarn that came in one of my lucky bags. I do believe it's called Universe, and it's a number 1, and it has wool and acrylic in it, but I can't remember the exact content. But it's really, really pretty. So we're going to start, and these are things I made, and the ends have got to be thrown in. Okay, doilies. I made doilies out of it. And I got all these doilies that I'm about to show you, and the order that I'm showing them to you is the way the yarn came out of the cake. So this first one, look how pretty that is. This, and these are all by, I think her name is Christy or Christine. These are all in that playlist as well. This is it's called Peachy Peaks because she uses a peach. And it's supposed to have peaks around it, little picots going around. It looks really neat. But it didn't look so neat when I started it. So I just like, all right, this can stop here. So this was the first bit of yarn that came out. And it was followed by this one. And this is the Rustic Flower. So these were the next colors that came out. And this is another Rustic Flower. And that's the way it came out of the... Sorry, I got a scratch in my throat. It's allergy season. And then this big one, this is the Tea Rose. And it's big. Aren't those colors just gorgeous? And this is what I had left. And I started to do another one, but I don't think I have enough left to do it. And I only had one of these. So this might get made into, I might finish that up in like whatever stitch I feel like doing. So that's what I've been doing. Also, I've been turning my, some of my skeins into cakes. Because what I have discovered is I absolutely love, love, love this. My Stanwood ball winder. I love it. And I feel like a hypocrite for loving it because I always said that, you know, the tubes from toilet paper rolls were all you needed. But you can't make this big of a cake out of those. You could only maybe do a slightly bigger one than this. But what I'm finding is that it's easier for me to turn my skeins into cakes and use them that way than it is to use it right straight out of the skein, because this way I get rid of all those little knots and all those little tangles that you get inside. And it's just a lot easier to crochet along, because you can just la da 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 without having to be like, oh my God, it puked on the inside. So there's that. I think that's it. I mean, I've been really super busy. Oh, plus I started something else. I made a hat and I started a scarf. But they're probably going to have to be on the next Monday Makes. So, I mean, you guys, I start something and then it's like, I set it down. And the thing was, these baby blankets that I'm making, okay, I followed a tutorial, a pattern for the individual squares. But then I was like, well, how am I going to put them together to make a blanket that I want? Because these are 6-inch squares. I also made some bigger squares that I'm not going to use. I don't think. So I mean, I've been busy. But the thing is, to get back to this baby blanket, is I made this little squares and then I was like, well, how am I going to put them together? How do I want to design this blanket? And I had kind of an idea, because the person I'm making them for wants them like another blanket that I have. But I didn't want to do it exactly like that one, even though that's kind of what she asked for. Because I couldn't really remember exactly how I made that one. Because that was another one I just threw together. So I'm just doing it like it, but different. You know? Based on. Kind of like when you take a book and you make it into a movie and it's based on the book, and then they take 5 characters and turn it into one character, and you're like, well, that's not how the book was. The book was so much better. Well, just like with the books and the movies, you have to separate them out. It has to be, this is the book version, this is the movie version. Alike but different. Okay? Based on the same characters. Well, that's how I am with this baby blanket that I'm working on. It's based on the same character as the original blanket. But anyway, so I was like, I didn't know how I wanted to do it, so I had to set it aside. And that's why I started making that other hat and scarf that I'm not going to show right now. Because I had to get that blanket completely out of my head and work on something else. And I don't know, maybe you guys do that too, where you're like trying to figure out how to put something together and you just have to like set it aside and walk away, do something else. And then I was sitting on the garage having my my smoke, and I was like, aha, the light bulb went off, and I knew exactly what I wanted to do. So that meant I had to set aside the scarf and the hat so I could go back and work on the blanket. And blah, blah, yada, yada. Sorry, I just went off on a little tangent. It happens. Forgive me. So anyway, with that, y'all have a good day, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, good middle of the night. Whatever it is, I hope it's what you want it to be. Go out, find yourself some happiness. And, you know, be you. And with that, later, Gators. Peace out.